Hey, in just 1 year, throughout all of my creative ventures and my real life and everything, I've made my way through 50 entire albums. And yeah, 50 is not that impressive of a number of albums to go through in a year, since that's less than even half an album every day. I still say this is a kind of big deal for me, because before this year, I never actually even listened to a single album all the way through, and I had no idea what I was missing. I wasn't really an album guy. I was a, if it sounds good type of guy. But now I've listened to 50, and I've given each of them a numerical score from 0 to 10, but I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit. Firstly, a YouTube poll that I put up earlier revealed that you guys actually wanted this in a multiple part series. So in this video and the next, hopefully before my channel's 1 year anniversary comes around, we are going to look at the first 50 albums that I've ever listened to, and I'm going to give you guys some of my thoughts. Or, well, 49 of the 50. I'm actually going to save my favorite album for its own video, but the rest of the 49, they are going to be split into 2 videos for the interest of your viewing pleasure. This first video is going to focus primarily on the bottom 25 albums that I listened to, but disclaimer, I pretty much only listened to albums with songs that I had heard of or that I was recommended by friends and family, so none of these albums are particularly bad per se. It's just that some are worse than others, in my humble opinion. And I would just like to emphasize that. It's my opinion. Opinions from a guy who couldn't even find room in his heart to add even a single album by the Beatles to the album sheet. So, disagree with me all you want. I mean, I did give the albums that I did rate a thorough listen to, but that does not mean that my opinions are necessarily correct, obviously. And also, give me albums to listen to in the comments. I might keep this little train going, and I might make this a once-a-year thing if you guys really like it. So, let me actually explain now how I went about rating a album. I have a Google Sheet where I do the standard table stuff. I give each album an ID, a title, and an author. Then, in a separate sheet, I link each song to an album ID so that I can average the scores per song pertaining to that album. This lets me come out with a pretty precise score from 0 to 10. Now, on a song level, I don't just rate 1 to 10 or 0 to 10. I also give a max of 2 bonus points if a song does something that I really like or if it just resonates with me. So the highest that a song could technically earn is 12 out of 10, and the highest an album can get is 10 out of 10. So, yeah. Anyways, that's the intro. On with my bottom 25. Number 50. My lowest rated album. This Old Dog by Mac DeMarco, sitting at a 6.42 out of 10. Now, you see what I mean? 6.42 is actually pretty high. I would consider 5 average on a scale of 0 to 10. So 6.42 is actually in good territory. But it's still just not some of my favorite work from Mac. I listened to this whole album with my friend Joey, which is not to be confused with our channel friend Giovanna. Hey Giovanna. And I remember after just the first couple of songs, I was shouting, just give me something. Mac, give me anything. See, I would just not listen to most of the songs on this album, and if they came on, I would probably turn them off. I would only give decent consideration to One More Love Song and For the First Time. The rest of them just kind of seem like forgettable background music. Number 49, Man on the Moon, The End of the Day by Kid Cudi, sitting at a 6.53 out of 10. I was expecting to like this album a lot more than I did, considering it's on everybody's top 100 albums of all time list. But I just had a similar situation with Man on the Moon that I had with This Old Dog by Mac DeMarco. Although here, you have some very standout tracks. You have Pursuit of Happiness, you have Cudi Zone, you have Day and Night, all 10s out of 10s. Love those songs. It's pretty good stuff. Although this album did actually contain the first ever 0 that a song received on my album sheet in the form of Crooker's remix of Day and Night, which is probably the worst song that you could possibly remix into a party anthem because it utterly destroys any and all introspective meaning that the original had by blasting it with air raid sirens and annoying sound effects. So, yeah, on top of that song and a bunch of other just mid songs, you know, it just ends up a little lower. Now, this next one is going to surprise you, but just hear me out. Number 48, I have Master of Puppets by Metallica, sitting at a 6.75 out of 10. And this album is a rock classic. I have to give it that. And for good reason, because it has Master of Puppets on it, for crying out loud. That song is a banger. And the first Metallica song that I ever heard is on here too. Battery was on Rock Band 2 for PlayStation 3, and I remember bashing my head against the wall trying to beat that song on Expert. And those two aren't even the best songs. The best song on here has to go to Orion. Orion just touches my soul in a way that the others do not. Maybe it's because the lead singer is missing, but the rest of the songs are almost all unlistenable Metallislop. Leper Messiah is not very good, Disposable Heroes is just slightly better, etc., etc. Number 47, Razzmatazz by I Don't Know How But They Found Me, aka The Brobegs. 6.96 out of 10. We're already pretty much at the 7 out of 10 albums already, and this one is an honorary 7 in my opinion. Like I said, none of these are particularly bad, and the competition is very tight. Standout tracks on this album are Mad IQs, the title track Razzmatazz, and the first ever song on this list that you're getting that gets an 11 out of 10, Cluster Hut. Highly recommend listening to that song. It is incredible. The song gets one extra bonus point for its subversion of my expectation at the very end, going even higher with the ending crescendo with instead of going lower like I thought it would. Very, very good stuff. Number 46, Nevermind by Nirvana at a 7.31 out of 10. And this might be a controversial take, but Nirvana is a little bit overrated. I like Nirvana's music, and I have a lot of favorites from Nirvana, but they just seem like the poor man's Alice in Chains, which my brother got me into. This album is iconic grunge, though, You got Smells Like Teen Spirit, Something in the Way, you have Lithium, all on this one album. And plus my personal favorites, Come As You Are and Drain You. Those are incredible, incredible pieces of music. This album has a lot to be enjoyed, but it also has songs like Stay Away and Territorial Pissings, which kind of drag its score down. They're okay in the context of the album, and I wouldn't skip them if I were listening to them in that context, but utterly unlistenable in every other context. Number 45, Chocolate and Cheese by Ween at a 7.5 out of 10. And I actually talked about this album already in my Aggressively American video, so no real need to rehash everything I said here. So I'll just say that my standout tracks are Roses Are Free and Baby Bitch, both of which get the first ever 12 out of 10s on this list that you're getting. And I highly suggest listening to both of those songs, even if you do not listen to the whole album, because let's face it, this album does have a lot of stinkers on it. Number 44. The Bends by Radiohead at a 7.58 out of 10. I really wanted to like this album a lot more than I did. It feels almost criminal to give Radiohead, one of my favorite bands, less than an 8 or 9 on an album. I like Radiohead as a band a lot, but this album just did not do it for me, so this lands as their lowest rated album that I have listened to so far, and obviously it's not as bad as like Pablo Honey or King of Limbs, allegedly, but it's definitely the lowest of the good ones, one might say. I just think they squandered what this album needed to make it really good, and they made a lot of weird creative decisions. See, I rated the standard edition and the B-side / collector's edition. And since I liked a lot of the B-sides, it actually boosted the rating of the album, so that's the score that I'm going with. And that's the standard that I'm going with from now on. At least when I know about a collector's edition anyway. I didn't take that hard, admittedly. I will note, however, when an album is better without its collector's edition songs and let you know what I think about the standard edition, just to keep it utterly transparent so you guys know what I think of like the part that matters. See, I just think that if here, Radiohead took off some of the songs and swapped them with their B-side equivalents, it would be a way better album. Take Planet Telex, Bones, and Black Star off and swap them with The Trickster, Killer Cars, and Bananaco. Boom. Instantly a better bass album. Could even find a way to squeeze in Talk Show Host. I really like that song. But I do really like Street Spirit, though. That's gotta stay. Number 43. American Idiot by Green Day at a 7.6 out of 10. This is an example of the exact opposite of the bends happening, where the standard edition of the album gets a considerably higher rating of 8.38 instead of 7.6. The album is a punk classic with multiple 10 out of 10s even in a row. American Idiot, Jesus of Suburbia, Holiday. The collector's edition just adds literally zero value to the album, and I would say actively detracts from the value of the album. With song names like Governator or Shoplifter, you expect them to be something at all, but it's just a bunch of sloppy work. I do not like it. Next. Number 42. Good and Evil by Tally Hall at a 7.62 out of 10. This is not some of their greatest work, honestly, but still very, very good work. Many songs in this album are very good, and we are getting into territory where none of the songs are particularly bad, and they are all at least listenable. Fate of the Stars and Hymn for a Scarecrow, Turn the Lights Off are very good songs. However, I think a lot of the value is actually lost in the ordering. I think if the album started off with A Lady and then went into Anne and then bled into Fate of the Stars seamlessly, this could have been a much more cohesive album. Those three songs all fit together like puzzle pieces, and splitting them apart and sprinkling them throughout the album is just not very satisfying. Not opening with A Lady feels criminal. Number 41. Hail to the Thief by Radiohead, 7.68 out of 10. Starting with 2 + 2 = 5 and then going into Sit Down, Stand Up is textbook how to open an album. These two songs tell you exactly what you need to know in terms of what it's about, the themes of the album. A reference to Orwell's 1984 followed instantly by contradictory, just trampling over each other commands, and then a hypnotic catharsis at the end, the raindrops 47 times. The rest of the album jumps between songs that are mid and alright, but those two songs are insane. And I would also say listen to Scatterbrain and Where I End and You Begin. Those are very good songs too. Number 40. Salad Days by Mac DeMarco, 7.72 out of 10. What do I even need to say about this album? This is probably some of Mac's best work. Some of my favorite tracks by him are on this album. Front to back, not a single song is bad. I really love the title track, Salad Days. I love Goodbye Weekend. And obviously I love Chamber of Reflection. I wasn't such a fan of Let My Baby Stay or Passing Out Pieces though, so those kind of dragged the score down. Number 39, How to Be a Human Being by Glass Animals, 7.72 out of 10. Tied with Mac DeMarco, this one only comes out on top because it's alphabetical. I also talked about this one in my America video, so no need to rehash everything here. Just listen to Life Itself, Cane Sugar, and Take a Slice if you want the highlights. Other Side of Paradise, maybe. Number 38, In the Court of the Crimson King by King Crimson, at a 7.8 out of 10. It was between this album and something by the Beatles, and I think I made the right choice, because I really love 21st Century Schizoid Man and Epitaph. It is a comparatively shorter album than the others that we've looked at so far, but it is just so jam-packed. Really, the only thing I didn't like is the 10 minutes of improv on the song Moonchild. That could have been considerably shorter and I would not have complained, but it is a nice change of pace, so I don't utterly hate it. Number 37. Tripod, aka Alice in Chains by Alice in Chains, 7.91 out of 10. Firstly, Pain. This may be one of the most depressing albums that I have ever heard in my whole life. Maybe that I'll ever hear. Half of the songs on here deal with the late Lane Staley's drug addiction. Shame in You and God Am and Over Now are some of the standouts for me, and I've recently found myself listening to Head Creeps and those three over and over. From record labels pushing for a faster release date to friends of the band itself being completely torn apart by addiction, it's some crazy stuff. Highly recommend listening to this one all the way through. Number 36. Red and Yellow by an Exonym, our channel friend, at a 7.96 out of 10. With as much as I gas bro up on my channel, you would really think that I am getting paid to do it, but no. I just genuinely admire their work that much, and I think you should too. This is no exception. Most of the songs feature just an acoustic guitar and an Exonym's voice, but despite being so incredibly minimalistic, it is so layered and textured. Released on their birthday, I think I was maybe, don't quote me, the first person to hear it on YouTube, and since then I've probably made up between 30 and 50 of the just over 100 listens that it has on YouTube. So go check it out. It's got some very good music in it. And I particularly like Superliminal and Risible and Indivisible, Madness of Two, and Playing Chicken. It's a slightly back-heavy album for me, though, since I'm not so fond of songs like A, It's Just Words, or Puppy Love Syndrome. But yeah, I mean, it's all pretty good. I would not skip a single one. I did when I first listened to it, but I wouldn't anymore. Number 35. To Pimp a Butterfly by Kendrick Lamar. 7.97 out of 10. This album is an honorary 8 out of 10 in my opinion, and my favorite song has to be the interlude For Sale, which might just be kind of cheaty, but I don't really care. I really just am in love with the dreamy jazz that it has going on. And the way that it follows the song Alright, we gon' be alright, love it. I'll admit though, I was not very into the album the first 2 times that I tried to listen to it. Before I was doing the album sheet thing, I kind of just put it down twice after the first couple of songs. Most of the songs on the album just are not meant for me. They're not made for me, they're not for me, I don't really care for them. But songs like songs like Wesley's Theory, the hits, those are for me. And so is For Sale. I love them. Number 34. Kid A by Radiohead at an 8.02 out of 10. This is the first actual 8 out of 10 on this list. And it goes to Radiohead. Kid A is basically Radiohead's undermining of expectations after OK Computer dropped. They went into a completely different direction than everybody else thought that they were going to. And not gonna lie, they hit. They hit. Everything in its right place, Kid A, Idiotech, the National Anthem are my standouts. How to Disappear Completely is probably one of the best songs in Radiohead's catalog. Tree Fingers is probably one of the worst. I say that just to get under my friend's skin. Plus, I think that the hidden track Untitled kind of ruins the ending that Motion Picture Soundtrack kind of offered up. But other than those 2 songs, just Untitled and Tree Fingers, it's a great album. Number 33. Paranoid by Black Sabbath at an 8.06 out of 10. Paranoid, Iron Man, War Pigs. Need I say anything else? Master of Puppets wishes it could be Paranoid. This album speaks for itself for the most part though. So many classic rock songs, and even the relatively unknown ones like Rat Salad and Fairies Wear Boots are still very good. Number 32. Demon Days by Gorillaz at an 8.07 out of 10. Kids with Guns. Ooh. Feel Good Inc. Ooh. Dirty Harry. Ooh. Dare. Ooh. Bangers from back to front, except for White Light. I especially like Oh Green World though, and its intentionally dissonant, eclectic, chaotic, funny sounds. That guy in the background that goes is so damn funny. Fire Coming Out of the Monkey's Head and Demon Days also deserve special recognition. And I just remember liking this album so much that I was really considering putting the Demon Days But All the Sounds Are My Voice meme album on here, just to meme. But I didn't. Number 31. The Stage by Avenged Sevenfold at an 8.08 out of 10. But this is the collector's edition. The standard edition would have ranked much, much higher at a 9.18, being one of only a handful of albums that actually reached above an 8.9 something. It feels like they were really trying to pick songs that fit in with the themes of the album. The cover of Mr. Bungle's Retro Vertigo, Pink Floyd's Wish You Were Here, and their special own bonus track, Dose, all hint that they wanted a cohesive addition to the album. It's just that songs like Malagueña Salarosa, Runaway, and As Tears Go By, one, aren't very engaging and do not fit in with the other songs on the album at all. And if I'm being fair by letting the bands get extra points for having a better collector's edition, then this album can also suffer for it. The base album is, in my opinion, the best in Avenged Sevenfold's catalog, with songs like The Stage and Exist. Those are perfect openers and closers. Not to mention, there's a whole string of 10 out of 10s here. You have Angel, Simulation, Higher, and Roman Sky. They all come in a row. But yeah, 9 out of 10 base album, 8 out of 10 full edition, I guess. Number 30, The Wall by Pink Floyd. at an 8.12 out of 10. This album, oh my god, I was really kind of depressed to find that the final tally was only about an 8. I really, really love this album, and the movie that goes with it is just peak. It is peak. It's just probably the second best rock opera I've ever heard. But you know, it's also a double album, and I surely couldn't be expected to like every second of it equally, could I? There aren't even any bad songs on this album, just some songs that are average or okay at best. Here's my top 5 on this album though. The Trial, Another Brick in the Wall Part 2, One of My Turns, The Happiest Days of Our Lives, and Goodbye Blue Sky. These songs just transcend me. Number 29, Quebec by Ween at an 8.18 out of 10. Quebec is probably, other than White Pepper, which I don't really care to listen to that much, one of Ween's most coherent albums. It feels like they really wanted to make a real album with real songs, one might say. Transdermal Celebration, Tried and True, I Don't Want It, and If You Could Save Yourself, You'd Save Us All are some of the most resonant tracks Ween has to offer in their entire catalog. Not to say that they don't have songs that aren't typically Weenie on this album. I really enjoy Happy Colored Marbles and So Many People in the Neighborhood. Like, I would actually listen to those songs more so than If You Could Save Yourself, Then You Could Save Us All. Funny side story about this album. I really wanted to get my friend Joey, who I mentioned before, into Ween's music. See, he's the kind of guy who just runs on brand recognition alone. If he does not recognize the band, it's because it's a horrible band and they make horrible music. So I bet him $5, Steam gift card, that he would like at least 80% of Quebec. So that means, since there's 14 tracks, that if he disliked more than 3 songs, I lost. This little rat boy gives the first 4 songs a 6, a 7, and a 5. And then the 4th one got a 0. And I was like, okay, well, you don't like that one so far. And this piece of work says, I didn't like any of them. And my jaw actually dropped. And I said, bro, you gave them each passing grades. He says, yeah, but like 7 is like average. I said, brother, what the hell do you mean 7 is average? 5 is average. 5 is middle of the road. He goes, then 2, 3, 4, 0. Let's go. I was ready to strangle that boy. By the way, when he got to the end, he loved the outro track so much that he went back and changed all of his other answers so that they were all actually 10 out of 10s or better, and also made me listen to all of Ween's other albums with him. Okay, funny story over. Number 28. 2 by Mac DeMarco, 8.27 out of 10. This album has some of Mac's best work on it too. Freaking Out the Neighborhood, My Kind of Woman are my favorites. Ode to Viceroy is good, Dreaming is good, The Stars Keep on Calling My Name, Boza, very, very human songs, and I love how musically consistent it all is too. Number 27, Toxicity by System of a Down, at an 8.29 out of 10. Now, I'm not gonna lie, this album does have some System of a Slop in it. I'm not even gonna lie about that, but the good songs easily make up for them, and the good songs are not even few or far between. Plus, none of the sloppy songs actually last very long. The longest tracks are typically their most enjoyable. Psycho, Aerials, Toxicity, Chop Suey, Prison Song. Prison Song, what an opener! That tells you exactly what you need to know about the album. That's opening in album 101. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Probably the first on the list that I would say you absolutely must listen to. Forest, Bounce, Science, Underrated Gems. Just go listen to this album, man. Number 26. Hot Fuss by The Killers at an 8.29 out of 10. Smile Like You Mean It is a 12 out of 10 song. That is a haunting melody. I enjoyed that song more than Mr. Brightside or Somebody Told Me. And I would also recommend checking out Change Your Mind and Glamorous Indie Rock and Roll, since those are sort of underrated gems on this album too. And yeah, that's actually the last of the bottom 25 albums, number 50 through 26. In the next video, I will be going through 25 through 2. Like I said before, my favorite album is getting its own video. the competition gets very stiff in the next video too. I mean, here we only climbed up about 2 points total. I don't have anything on here that earned less than a 6 out of 10 and nothing more than an 8.3 out of 10. So I had an overall positive outlook on all of these albums. Maybe a little bit too generous, I would say. But the top 26 have less than 2 points to work with. A lot of them are stuck somewhere between an 8 and a 9. So stay tuned. See what I think. Okay, bye.